Welcome to our lovely future humans, to those who can and will ventral pivot. Did I mention I'm a 5D mystic and I come from the future, which is why I talk only to future humans? And that's not true. But as a 5D mystic, that which is a spiritual one, there's two groups of people out there at this point in our human journey. The ones who make fun of us, and that's because of a lot of reasons, not believing in God, not believing in spirituality. Some instead don't like us and think we're devils and demons. So that's for the spiritual aspect. For the mindful aspect, which is where, as a person who supports self-led people, those who can ventral pivot, those who will, yes, we have a surprise. A new free PDF is coming to accompany the ventral pivot. I was having fun with words, if you remember, but those words, well, my thoroughness has me thinking about a lot of things, so I'm going to keep it a surprise. But in the meantime, let's talk about ventral pivoting. So some people will have asked me, what is that, Maria? And I will say, it's called your ventral vagal state. And then they will look at me and think, so it's the mind? And I'll say, no, it's the body. But it's the body, the brain, and the mind. And it's the heart and the self. And, well, 5+ years in growing of attachment trauma education, I can't really regurgitate. That's not my forte. So future human I am, which is why I can tell you what our future humans look like. And that's the part of where the woo-woo-ness comes in. I also can tell you that as a child of God, being rejected by those who I am not, betrayed by personally, I am not humiliated by, because they can call me all the words in the book. They have not abandoned me, because the only human being in my life who could have ever abandoned me didn't, my mother. And then, yes, actually, I have a message for you all. The Dalai Lama, this is not from me direct. I didn't meet him yet. I haven't had the honor. I might never. But I do have the honor of knowing one of the greats of the future. And I don't know him personally, but I've taken courses with him. And I have had the honor to ask him 2 questions. One of which I found out that at the age of 3, I, Maria, was already a differentiated self. Now this is important because, see, my 3-year-old, today's a new moon, so welcome to those of you who are of the spiritual collective. Yes, we don't get affected, the 5D collective, by the stars, because we are our own piece of life. So when you're a restorative embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person, you didn't lose your 3-year-old, your 2-year-old, or 1-year-old. You know about your implicit memory being built from the moment that you were, I think Dr. Daniel Siegel was talking about 18 months. So those who don't believe in science, I'm like, look, I'm the spiritual one. You're not supposed to believe in me, but science is a fact, and I am attachment trauma educated, brain science educated, all of it. I'm not going to dumb it down because I actually only work with regulated leaders. That's as a mentor. Obviously, the mindset practices and the journal prompts are for those who want to do the ventral pivot, which is why the free PDFs, for now 1, but there will be 2, are for those who want to be yourself the smart way and choose the micro habit that will involve the smart way, because stable, mature, adaptable, rational is very important and teachable. Also, we carry integrity to the forefront. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself in a minute. So while some will say I have it easy, I will say, no, but I don't suffer life because Jesus suffered for my sins. And when I hear things that I don't really like about spiritual stuff, I just think I'm going to wait, because scientists, they hold down the fort, and they're always the ones who obviously care about science and peer reviews, and they continue academia and all that. The ones who fake it, well, again, I don't get betrayed by liars, because they betray themselves. Also because they can't manipulate someone who's a 3-year-old who knows exactly why I would be manipulable. And you know that funny story, don't you? So wait for it. Here's the terrible 2s. Did you know that when you learn to say no and yes and demand things, this was your first Mars return? That's not actually your empowered version. And so when you meet the ones who are distorting and faking it, remind yourself what love is. It's not hard, because when you own yourself, this is the 3-year-old talking to you, I'm Maria. I'm not going to prove my worth because I breathe and God gave me a gift, and you're not God. You're all human. I'm human too. So anybody who plays God and tells me that my life is worthless because I'm a piece of shit, whatever comes out of their mouth, I'm like, if I were you, I'd really make sure to check that tone of yours, as that's called a grandiose asshole who doesn't know what healthy self-righteousness is, and anyone who does know healthy anything will know humility. Thanks God for chiming in. So the future spiritual ones, the actual enlightened ones, will not be fighting with kings and queens and words of the past and all of that which spiritual bypassers humor me with, and so do somatic bypassers. So they equally could choose 3D 40 to get out of the suffering, to get out of the unsteady self-image stuff, but they disregard those very, very obvious red flags. None of them want to be themselves. They're all apparently wanting to change themselves, and I'm like, no, I'm not changing, I'm expanding. So when you're a whole self, look at me, wait for it. I talked to a human being who doesn't know what this means. She did this. So if you're doing that, just please patience, because I can't tell you about life from a place of being broken, because there ain't no brokenness. I'm a twin. I had playtime. I'm the pushy one of the two. My most favorite memory, my 3-year-old. I'm just filling you in on. But fun fact, my nervous system does have fear. It does have anger. It does have sadness. The thing is, I'm motivated by physical safety. So pure fear, I have experienced it. I have also experienced a number of panic attacks. And when Therapy Nutshell Lady told my left brain what that was for my nervous system, I was like, oh my gosh, this is such good news. Now I can be empowered and know how to wield my nervous system. Yes. And when I saw a comment of a lady who said, so you're saying we have to put up with it? I'm like, that's not what she explained. She just told you how to ventral pivot and how you sit with it. And when you see women or men who say that with their one little finger they're going to dismantle modern day therapists, remember what groupies look like. We talked about that. They're not purpose driven leaders. And they're not even a leader in my book, but that's because they're motivated by pain. That means unhealthy fear. They don't know, in fact, what I know. I'm going to leave that one alone. So I was telling you a secret. No, I was telling you an important piece of information that I got to hear in the grapevine. So again, this was Dr. Daniel Siegel. It's on his YouTube or his Instagram account, one of his shorts and his reels. And he was talking about how he went to a compassionate summit a couple years back or something like that. I didn't look at the date. And he said he got to have the honor to meet the Dalai Lama. And he was saying how the Dalai Lama, he asked him a question. I think it was about how can we bring, I'm not quoting him, I didn't write it down. How can we help humanity to get out of the in-out group, which is the survival thing? There's a whole bunch of things I could tell you about, but I'm not going to, except for one thing. Did you know that by the time you're 14 months old, you're going to know that you like the teddy bear that likes the same cereal you do? That's your amygdala telling you want to hang out with people that like the same stuff you do. And did you know that that same baby, that 14-month-old, will play hostile or not play at all with a teddy bear that doesn't like the same cereal, but they like a cereal that they don't like, or yogurt or something like that? Now, these are small sample studies. But I'm like, yeah, I know how that works. I'm a grown woman, and I still like to hang out with epistemically curious, disciplined, diligent, funny human beings who own the essence of their life. They're 3-year-olds who let me know who they are authentically and who I have fun with, and then we all respect each other. And we all make fun of each other, like Manny, Diego, and Sid from Ice Age. So nobody is taking anything personally, but we're also with healthy boundaries. So one thing you're going to understand is they don't have to ventral pivot. But our future humans all ventral pivot because it's a human body that I have. As for the soul, it doesn't get tainted, cracked, doesn't get ripped out of it, none of that. So this is from the spiritual human being in front of you. When you meet those who say see source in everyone and then they tell you about us having to suffer, they don't actually remember the miracle of life and that no. So the Dalai Lama answers the question of lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel about how do you bring compassion, how do you bring whatever union, whatever the way he worded it. So bear with me as I try to paraphrase where he says, the Dalai Lama, something along the lines of there's 2 types of compassion or something like that. One that you're born with, and there is your mother. And this is where Dr. Daniel Siegel interjects and says, well, it's the attachment figure. But I understand why it's the mother, because we all were in the womb of the mother, and we, in fact, in the first months and whatnot, even if you get put in an orphanage or somewhere, that's the whole part of where Dr. Daniel Siegel was talking about another thing, and where someone who is in an orphanage the first 18 months of life is implicit memory. So please sit down, because this is how I do it. I'm going to come full closure in a minute and use some examples. That's for the new ones. The regulars know this. So this implicit memory, the way he was saying it is, you could feel all alone all of a sudden, have a great partner, but you feel all alone because that's the 18-month-old or the 0 to 18-month-old or whatever that was in the orphanage all alone. Okay, so when people don't believe in science and they look at me and think I'm pseudoscience and woo, yes. Am I a yellow source for Neil deGrasse? Yes. Do I fuck up data? Yes. Do I know who I learned from? Yes. Do I know who tells me the truth? Oh, you better bet your bottom I do. So here's the thing. I'm an embodied brain, and every time I've heard any of the data from the ones who tell me the truth, like Stephen Porges, which is where shame will actively do this and create a story, and they'll bullshit their way through life. And what I got is someone who looks me in the face as they had finished 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 beers, I forget, and say, I'm healthy as can be, after I'm talking to them about attachment trauma, not because we were talking about them. That's called the deflecting and pretending that you're healthy and disregarding that you're not, and then disregarding what just came out of your mouth, which is where cognitive dissonance and structural dissociation can go. So when someone's epistemic trust was broken and they didn't notice that they actually don't know right from wrong, I don't follow my peers. Meaning, now that I'm a grown woman with epistemically curious peers, I do follow the peers. We all gather around together and we learn from each other. We don't follow each other around because leaders don't actually put anyone on a pedestal. Leaders of oneself, So you don't seek outside yourself when your default mode network is down-regulated, and whenever something hits the fan, it's not a physical life threat. So you're like, hey, I'm good. You want to hear about the panic attacks? So wait for it. So every human can ventral pivot. Number 1, every human has all their child parts. Number 2, if they don't believe implicit memory is real, that's none of my business. But there's somatic therapists, mindful therapists out there for the ones who take care to become their real self, and I'm honored to meet any one of them. They might not like me because I do forgive, and I said yes to God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and even though I'm rejected by human beings who, in my very subjective spiritual knowledge, will tell you they are not in any way, shape, or form bringing forth that which is, because they're bringing forth their books, and then they're bringing forth that their books are right. And we have a bunch of people who one day when the sun is about to explode or whatever, our scientists are going to give us a timeline, those people, because we respect their belief, who say they love their children and who say they're the chosen ones, we're going to have to accept that, hey, knock, knock, who's there? Can we take the children you claim to love off the planet before they die in excruciating, and look here, I have video, I have all of it, it's right here, it's not fake. I'm not faking it. The technology is real. No, you love that. You said you love. Don't you love? Do you love the little kids that you said you're creating a whole bunch of people? Like you love really? So this is where 3-year-olds at. You don't love anyone. You just want them to believe what you want them to believe. You think you're God. You're not God. And how dare you actually think that? So this is what delusional people look like. And it's not about the part of the belief. I can. I'm going to pause myself. I'm a rational being. So when people will trust each other, it is good for you to understand that a person who discerns their own affective realism, their own emotional activation, their own charges, biases, everything will say, okay, calm down. I just did a ventral pivot. There's no need to get all excited. So when you will learn how to do this and put a hand on your heart and remember that spiritual bypassers are somatic bypassers. Their epistemic trust was broken. That means the people who love them and a lot more continue to lie to them. When somebody accepts lies, that's because there's actually Michael Stone, a forensic criminologist, he has a scale. Yeah, 7 of 14 or 9 of 14, they're grandiose and manipulators. But grandiosity, in fact, is obvious to anybody who's empowered, because they're a no sensitive chip who's an asshole. It's not because of the words. It's because they're in their survival mode. So one thing I know is justice always prevails. And that's because people keep forgetting who God is from the spiritual collective. So the Dalai Lama, let me get back to close on the loop of the answer. So one way compassion comes through us, our primary caregiver. And he says, but then there's this universal compassion. And he said something along the lines of, teaching, because this is something we teach, humanity how to love their enemy. Now, the thing about this word enemy makes me laugh in my butthole and back, because even when I hear the word identity, my identity is on a card. It's Maria. That's it. Everything else are just adjectives because my life has a bunch of different things. I go from basic faith to being a mystic to being rejected to being polyamory to being a whore, because that's exactly how monoamory decided that we are, to me thinking, well, at least I have the decency to actually be authentic, talk about things, and not think of anybody better than worse. When you put someone on a pedestal, I can't believe that in the polyamory community, 1, 2, 3 is like, that's not, wow, seriously. But then I remind myself, not everybody does the ventral pivot, so they don't really know what love is, which is it's unconditional. And it's, you have percent patterns and temperament, and you have a lot of things that you come with. So do I. And this is where transparency, authenticity, truth, it's not hard to be a person that is whole for me. And our future humans will be that, because our future is always better than our past. Obviously, our environment, we know it's going down, but hopefully we have enough people that are not going to join the flat earthers who will decide to do what is best. And as for the ones who believe in conspiracy theories, again, the people that don't know Schopenhauer, what was the quote? If you want to appeal to a large audience, appeal to the masses. So the 3D, 4D, I was told they would stick around. They can decide to move into the 5D collective and beyond. And that's because they can choose to get themselves whole, and once they do, they'll enjoy the inner growth mindset practices, the journal prompts, and all that. So I love my enemy, but I don't have any enemies. Because see, when I meet all people, the whole evil thing, never met Lucifer or monster. Once I became a mystic, I'm like, we're all a big ball of energy. Today, I can tell you that whether it's spiritual, all of our stories from our ancestors, or science with dark matter, dark energy, and the physicists who talk about the infinite intelligence of consciousness, it's all love. And so here's where, when you have healthy fear, as I was saying, the physical, like, okay, that's the moment of truth. So let me pause myself. Everybody has a different body because everybody has a different nervous system. And then everybody has a different way of you, your solo self, your relational self. There's a whole bunch of things I could tell you. I'm not going to. But when you are integrated bilaterally, vertically, overall, and you're a differentiated self by the age of 3, and you say, you can't spank me. It's my body. And then you go make your suitcase. That means you have your own thoughts, your own feelings, and you're spiting the human being caregiver. No, you're deciding to stand up for yourself. There's no spite for a child. It's, I'm going to go and defend myself because you just disobeyed my very command. And then you continue to grow up this way. It's, I don't change. I told you, there's a door. And that's where teenage boyfriend, people are like, you let him get away. He wasn't my dog. I didn't realize I had to have someone on leash. Don't you know what a secure person is? It's basically, I'm one of a kind. I even got a twin. This is what healthy self-worth looks like. And that's why love is not something that you're going to drag your feet about. And if you have 3 twin flames, by the time you get to the 3rd, you're like, oh, 3 is a charm. Hey, thanks God. So listen, the Pleiadians and the voice of truth, what I love is being Maria. And that's because why would I want to be anybody else? And so a healthy high performer, it's a healthy perfectionist who knows everyone's perfect just the way you are. If you want to stay in the stagnating 3D, 4D, it won't be here that you'll be doing it because you won't like me. The halls of learning. So I bring all of it, spiritual, sciences, and nope, none of them contradict anything, because when you have an integrated brain, the fun part is that you know the consilience approach. And so when the Dalai Lama told lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, what he told him, he started with the religious ones, we failed. You're going to have to do it, the scientific ones, something like that. And I was like, yeah, because, you know, the Dalai Lama made the call to all the spiritual religion people. He said, hey, we're all here to teach compassion. We should all under one umbrella. And I'm like, yep, that's it. It's time. And guess what? Those who are distorting and lying to us do. So when someone says religion is bad, or you're not religious, you're not spiritual, the people who still have charges, I understand it. I forgive because I'm not God, and he always is amazing. So the cosmic karmic balancing, when it takes place, I've seen it. I got worried, and then I was relieved. So it's really like, that's how straightforward it is. Oh, and again, did I tell you it's the new moon? It's the new moon. So give me a minute, because I want to read to you all about this Reddit question. The person was asking about basically if there were any books to support their state of mind. They were in search for a solution. And they were talking about a lot of, you could tell they're really overwhelmed. So I'm like, okay, this is a really overwhelmed human being who's telling me how the books didn't help, the friends don't help, there's a bunch of things that don't help. So I'm feeling already their energy as someone who is very overwhelmed and afraid, and then I'm going to get to when you have your 0 8-year-old, the codependent, being able to express all the basic human emotions and nobody shames you because you can't be shamed because you're a 3-year-old who says, excuse me. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's relational self and relational integrity. But that's because, like Manny, Diego, and Sid, we all can be grown-ups together. So when you personally grow with your loved ones, you're never going to say one time that your life was a waste. So when I look to the past, I don't have regrets. I only have lessons, enlightenment, expansion. And when you see someone put grief on a pedestal and suffering, you know what that does to my gut down here. So it's Kali, Shivam, nothingness. This is sadness here, anger down here, fear up here. And there's Krishna Lila exploring the depths of seriousness with playfulness. And it's like, oh man, I wish I was a monster. I'm not a monster in this lifetime. Why are you putting on a pedestal grief? There's no pedestal. You know what I want to do to anyone who actually wastes my life because they don't know what they want in life, because they haven't figured out that they could go and get themselves whole. Okay, so this is how I feel about people wasting my life. And then I remind myself it's not a waste, thanks God. So you get off of the high horse, right, and down on the ground, and you remind yourself everybody has perspective. Subjective reality. So, objective reality is that anyone who's whole knows how to discern their own affective realism, their own emotional state, and ventral pivots. That means they move into their prefrontal. So the mind keeps the count, but the body keeps the score. And by the time you have finished any of this, you'll be laughing if you are someone who does the ventral pivot. So the regulated leader, you might be enjoying that one. It's a nice guide on a lot of things, including Dr. Daniel Siegel's frameworks or some of his stuff. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory, amazing. Then we have your sovereign blueprint, which has a number of aspects from Pat Ogden, with how she tells us autonomously self-regulating. You either come with it or you have to go learn it with them. And then once you're done with that, it's either you do personal growth and spiritual growth, or you and I think, well, I mean, you at least you did that. Effective realism, very strong emotions that make you think that you're thinking facts. I got disowned once. It's not true. When a child doesn't get lied to, and when a child doesn't break, there's a child in front of you right now. But I'm in my prefrontal, so please. But I do have all the gooiness of her. She doesn't get hidden away. It's amazing. You know what's sad about the people who don't claim themselves? I don't ever get to meet them. I get to meet their teenage asshole. Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't really have to talk about that one right now. So as I answer and share my 2 cents, I say my first thought query is, do you know how to self-regulate in moments when you feel overwhelmed as you've described? ? If self-regulating in ventral is something you do, then meditation can be beneficial. P.S. Now I understand why there's mindfulness risks. If you're non-bilaterally integrated, if you have implicit memory, if you have memory barriers, and if you have a lot of other stuff, including not knowing how to autonomously self-regulate, then you want to first go and get to be integrated. And while plenty of therapists are giving people the way to get integrated, to create healing, I know that there's a number of people who can do it, the securely attached ones. And then there's the ones who are avoidant, ambivalent, and disorganized who, on that note, they're going to need a little bit more help because that implicit memory stuff, but they might not want it. So it's none of my business. I leave it alone. In the meantime, the future, everyone will ventral pivot because the scientists aren't lying. The religious ones, well, they used to have a purpose. Now they're all liars because the fact that they hide things, make up things, and that's not the mystic spiritual community. The ones of us who have fun, we bring it all in because we're like, hey, it's all energy. Or anyways, let's bring in the facts, let's bring in the stories, let's bring it all in. The ones who keep on talking about monsters and betrayers, it's like, okay, you keep doing you. Meantime, the younger generation doesn't fall for bullshit. So, because they don't follow, you know what I mean? Well, unless they're unfortunately cut off from all of us, but you're on internet, so at least you're not cut off. Remember to discern. Dopamine detox, viral trend, we all have dopamine. Predictable crash zone, viral trend. The real life crash zone is from day 1 to day 14. And then there was something else, and I fuck up things and forget them too, so just keep that one in mind. But back to our topic. As I was saying to the person, then meditation can be beneficial. Because, by the way, meditation strengthens your ventral vagal state. So you strengthen your ventral vagal state and spend time within the safety of your own body, brain, and mind. From this place of ease, you can train your mind and reflect with inner growth. Talk. That's how I like to just say, you just have, conversations with yourself and process your feelings with compassion. Because see, when you're in a survival mode, which is what those teenagers, the drama kings and queens do, that's not going to help you to do the growing, the pivoting. And so that's why you have a choice. The choice point is this: you can remain an adolescent version of yourself with the survival mode loop, and that's going to weaken your window of tolerance, or you move into the window of tolerance that you expand to one of welcome. Light body, light body, light body, light body, light body, light body, rainbow body, blah, blah. And I found out the insula grows. So when you're integrated, that's what's happening. When those people who say like this, their amygdala grows. Okay, so there's neuroscientists for more explanation on that. But the point that I'm trying to get to is my body is safe. So because I'm in a physiological state of compassion, the insula lights up, the temporal junction, because my brain's smart enough to use the past to notice if I notice anything. And there's a lovely lady who gives a perfect example of this one. And I will never forget it, but let me finish reading before I actually forget to read to you, in case you're curious. But then, so the amygdala, temporal junction, and the prefrontal cortex. So when you're in a physiological state of compassion, you self-regulate because you're differentiating and linking, and then you're co-regulating. There's an episode on that one, and that's what regulated leaders do. And so we're epistemically curious. We know how to say the real grown-up ventral no. Empowerment doesn't come from the terrible twos. In fact, that's why it's not even a terrible twos, because nobody's terrible at 2. Nobody's spiteful at 3. No, it's a 16-year-old asshole, and I got a clown face facade friend of mine who I love to make fun of because he's my bestest friend of all. No, there's many bestest friends, but he and I have a pact. So I make fun of a lot of people, and they make fun of me, and so there you go. But in the meantime, what I'm happy to know are those who will join us in the land of the living with their own essence, and the 3-year-old of them is the essence. It's amazing. It's amazing to meet you. Nice to meet you. Hi. Because if you're still here, I'm sure you're like, yay, finally, a grown-up who's also a child. Yeah, functional child adults, that's what I call us. And I am woo, but I love my spiritual life. I come from the future. Did I tell you that? And I actually met a multidimensional being of my own. And I'm like, oh, I take in that knowledge and keep it. How cool. I forget what words they use for that, but it was really cool. So from this inner growth with compassion, then you can move beyond. And here's why neuroscientist Patrick McNamara has a good book. I haven't read it yet. Decentralizing and the Self and Religious Experiences. And he explains how when decentralizing in the self and religious experiences, nightmare after nightmare after nightmare, go wrong, that's because the brain is trying to heal itself. And in fact, I already knew that because of my somatic and attachment trauma education courses. It's something like that. Yeah, so every night, the amygdala tries to heal itself or something like that. And if there's a blockage or whatever, or this fear receptor goes wonky, that's how he states it. So people who will want to be at ease inside of their self, who will want to use their brain, their mind, at this point, their body, they know who to go to. And they know that they don't have to believe in stories of monsters. And as a spiritual one, I've never met them. But again, I'm a 5D mystic who's now moving with the 5D collective of mystic and spiritual ones into the 7th dimension. I had a vision of it. I had a download, not a vision. And then a colleague of mine showed me what I had seen. I was like, aha. And I also knew about Atlantis. And other colleagues of mine told me, yep, Atlantis. We're going to find out some new stuff. So it's going to be fun. And those who are reactive to new pieces of information, they're not epistemically curious. And they don't know their real identity, their real self. Use your name. It's your human name. We're all in flesh. There's ego and there's self. I don't want to do the diet. We're doing the diet. This is how I do it because Dr. Daniel Siegel taught me the left speaks, and there's a book, Ransom Stevens, the left brain speaks, the right brain laughs, and the right, all the stuff from my body comes up. And then I do this, and it says, okay, breathe, Maria, panic attacks, okay. In one of the cases of my panic attacks, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and Mother Teresa came to visit me in a corner. I was like, hey, so Mother Teresa, what are you doing here? Because I usually don't pray to you. I mean, I used to pray in a very specific way, and my good Christian Catholic catechist, they rose me, you know, they brought me up, but I really don't actually call, but you came. It's really nice to have you here, so thank you so much. Jesus visits me. Buddha, high five. He makes fun of me sometimes as I made fun of him. I'm still waiting for the future Buddha, by the way. I'm like, where is he, or she, or they? So I continue with, if with meditation, somatic mindset practices, or books, you find you are succeeding in growing resilient and self-empowered over time, then it's all working. So if you feel the same way about your mindset practices, your journal prompts, your mystic life, your ventral pivoting. If, on the other hand, it's not working, that's I'm not allowed. But since they're asking for advice and they're asking for input, I said, if you don't see an improvement in your state of being, then a mindful therapist would be a good idea to help you learn how to autonomously self-regulate. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about, is you being able to own your nervous system. You see, so I don't need you to believe in my stories. You don't need to believe in anything. But if there's one thing I know for certain, is I have a nervous system like you do. And I know how to wield mine. And I've known how to wield it since I can remember. So then I learned from smart-ass fucking amazing human beings how not everybody learned how to autonomously self-regulate. And do you know what happens when someone's speaking to someone and they know the truth about themselves? And they say, yeah, actually, that's true, Maria. I don't know how to self-regulate. And I said, yeah, and I made a promise to you, and you told me that you would put up with me, and I get to watch you and put up with you. And there's people who don't want to get themselves to go autonomously self-regulate. So as I concluded, I said, throughout my years of life, I'm 46, by the way, I've experienced panic attacks and even dealt with pure fear at one point. I thought my heart was going to implode. I'll never forget that day. That day, I really thought I was going to die. I don't even know what the heck was going on. It was some energy day or who knows. But anyways, I worked with the somatic mindset practices, the intentional living micro habits, some meditating, that's thanks to Sadhguru and his yoga, and also spiritual tools such as Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. Tarot, obviously, guidance, but in a way of growing. But for your body, the Reiki is actually that which works to clear all of those lovely energetic experiences and whatnot. But today I said I no longer am experiencing panic attacks. Oh, by the way, nutrition, that's what has actively given me no more IBS, no more any of the lightheadedness. And here's where spiritual bypassers and somatic bypassers, might I add, people who want to be experts in something that they're not necessarily. So, at the end of the day, I do understand how finding a professional to work with is hard, because I have scoliosis, and I remember how I had to work to find the ones that cared about my back, and the ones who still learn, and therefore they add to that which is their knowledge. So a professional who cares about what they do, a purpose-driven leader, any kind of leader in my book, they make more leaders. They empower you with information. They say they're wrong. They can make mistakes. They don't give two shits about looking like a moron. And by the way, they don't lie to you. And when others lie, it's not, oh my God, they're so evil. It's, well, epistemic trust was broken, and teaching people to love their enemy. Apparently, they don't know how to follow Jesus. They don't know how to follow Buddha. They don't even know what spirituality really means. But hey, thank goodness scientists prove that we have love within us, and so does Thomas Campbell, a lovely scientist who spoke words that I spoke to my teenage friends. The truth is not fragile. Yeah, the truth always comes forth. So that's why you see this face. I'm not afraid of the future, because number one, I hope dark matter and dark energy don't implode. Number two, I keep asking God if I'm going to live lifelong because I want to live. Number three, I am comfortable in the unknown, because panic attacks are the worst thing that could ever happen to anyone. And when Therapy Nutshell Lady told me how to handle it, that helped my left brain know what the fuck was going on, and it helped me to silence the chit chatter. And even to this day, when it happens, I am now familiar with it. And hey, ego, it's okay. You can have this illusion of control, but we don't know how it's going to end. Into the unknown, we don't know how it's going to end. Isn't it fun, Elsa? No one's trying to hold you back. What's up with the holding back? So that's what happens when people are still in their survival mode. They motivate each other from this, it ain't no rainbows and sunshines, my son. The life, it will hit you, and it'll hit you hard. And it's not how hard you can hit. I love you, Sylvester, I still do it. It's how hard you can get hit, and keep moving forward. Get on these figures of speeches. So I can tell you with all of the love in my heart, there's one moment. Some of my listeners know about this one moment. Others don't, and you never will potentially. But I still laugh. High five. Come on, give me a high five. Buddha and Jesus, they're right here with me. You all have to wait. There's a bunch of people who want to come forth. But that's for when we have our our paid content, our paid community, those are the people that I'm going to allow to do this stuff, because really I like to do personal growth and spiritual growth. And what I've noticed is 4D is pretty spot on, even though they distort some of the things, but we all pick up on the same stuff, so it's really cool. But, okay, how about this? If anything comes up from the Atlantis thing, I will let you know. And those two, yeah, commanders, they're still here, and so are the other ones. Yes, okay, fine. I'll sit down with them and let you guys know. They want me to share with you whatever it is that they have to say. So, and I have so much honor for those of you who stuck around with my quirkiness. And the new ones, the regulars, they already knew all about. You may be right, I may be crazy, but it might just be a lunatic you're looking for. And I'm not actually crazy, but don't they say that people who say they're not crazy are crazy? Anyways, today I no longer experience, like I was saying, panic attacks, and when I look back, I have grown. And that's why when someone says grief and they put it on a pedestal, I want to punch them in the face, because I don't want to actually think that it's amazing, because it's not. And then because I'm a mindfully aware person, I know that air, water, and food is what we need, and the flat earthers are wasting our time instead of looking into how to fix the environment. And the ones who don't believe the environment needs us because it's virtual reality, well, I'm laughing about that too right now. And that's the part of why. So I share with them, I said, my mindset works really great, and that's because I'm able to self-regulate. And so while having panic attacks, I did not ever clinically dissociate. We can all dissociate, but what I'm trying to say is I was always grounded in my body. I was connected, not protected. I didn't need to protect. I could breathe, the faculties, I could keep working. You know, this is where I was like all doing all of this. Oh, and as a light worker, all of the light workers who do use their clairs, there is this thing of the bandwidth, your energy body expands. So I have a course on that one. And so we're a beautiful complex system. You have your human embodiment with all that trauma charges. We all have the basic, the 0 to 16. Then if you stay integrated and you move into relational integrity and self-integrity, you keep on being yourself the smart way: stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. And some books I gave them to read in case you want to check them out. And that would be for the mind and for the body, particularly to anchor it into ventral. So obviously, lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, I had to at least one, and I named the book that he wrote for mind, A Journey to the Heart of Being Human, if you're wanting to check it out. He has many more, and I still have to go through and read all them, but the PDP framework, if you're someone who really likes in-depth explanations and science talk, that one I'm looking forward to finishing it. By Ransom Stevens, PhD, The Left Brain Speaks, The Right Brain Laughs. That's a neuroscientist, and he breaks the brain down really easy. So I got through like the first pages. It's hilarious and good. And then To Anchor Your Body in Ventral Safety, a book by Deb Dana called Anchored, and she has other books. So that's where, if you can self-regulate, awesome. Welcome aboard. If you can't yet, you can. Everyone can, because as the Dalai Lama told lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, we failed. It's your turn, scientists. And you know, it's not that the spiritual ones failed. It's that we have religious human beings and spiritual human beings who are bypassers and who tell us they love their children and that we're evil and devils and demons and that we are bad. So remind yourself, when epistemic trust is broken, how many people believe in that which is bullshit coming out of the mouth of people. Because see, the word belief to me means, yes, I believe in God and mystic and all that. Science is not about belief, it's explanations. And so when you're able to learn from empowered, brilliant, amazing people like Dr. Daniel Siegel, Janina Fisher, Pat Ogden, Peter Levine, I'm learning from some other women right now, and Somatopia. So let me share with you the story of Somatopia before we go. You want to hear another story? So my lovely teacher, Dr. Albert Wong, I got to have the honor to have him in another course. I have two, I forget their titles, but they're educational certificates. And that's because for personal growth, we're still working with your body and mind and yourself. We're just not working with that which needs first the therapist, okay? So when you're bilaterally, vertically, overall integrated, when you have chosen, I want a ventral pivot, because why wouldn't I be in my abundance energy mode? You're not afraid of somatic countertransference. You're not afraid of going out into a room. You're not afraid of people. You don't cut cords for energy vampires are not existent. definitely there are still reminders. So there are things I don't want to do because I'm uncomfortable still, because my amygdala and my brain explicitly remember those moments when I've had panic attacks out in public. And so it does continue with you, which is why it's a consistent journey. But you do it only if you expand your window tolerance. But you choose what you're going to allow yourself, like the exposure stuff. But that's because you're able to maintain. So with panic attacks, I never went to a therapist because I knew the light body stuff. I knew that I was fine because I was fine emotionally, mentally. I didn't go and hide away in the room. I did adapt my ways of doing things, yes, but I didn't lock myself away. And I don't say I'm not going to ever go out because, so this is the part of where the difference. If you grow to suffer life and you grow to have an unsteady self-image, the people who continue doing it, it's, but I'm going to leave it alone because mindful therapists are taking care of trying to help all the ones who want to take responsibility for their own emotional, mental, and physical plane seriously. I'm here for the ones who want personal growth and spiritual growth and self-led people, purpose-driven leaders who are love-based, not fear-based. And when we do see the shit that goes down, we know what's happening. Equanimous, discerning, and loving. God's timber. And no, it's not words he speaks. It's an active timber. And it is a father. It is a masculine. While see Mother Gaia, she just came in the door because they're all different. Akash, space different. Okay, each word and each story and each this is the part of why if you're spiritual and mystic, then you're going to understand what it is to have words and stories, and that our ancestors and human beings thinking things, and that science brings it in. It's all a different language, but they're always still speaking in a way that will be fascinating. That's what a person who owns their own identity, who's epistemically curious, disciplined, diligent. Who are you? Good, your name, great, that's who you are. Not the beliefs, not the things you are reading. Those are all things that you carry with you, that you cherish. But if you get activated by them, then you're choosing to be reactive to that which is an exchange. So people who are self-regulating know what I just spoke. People who take things personally, they don't want this. They might never want it. None of my business. They're going to stay in their survival mode, which is unfortunate for them because that's their distress, not mine. I'm in eustress. And I didn't need yoga for it because I have Jesus, God, and Holy Spirit. That are why I'm here today. And then I did the yoga, but really it's only ventral vagal portfolio toning exercises. I don't need it. I mean, I do it, but I'm saying I didn't need it. In fact, when I was doing the exercise, I'm like, yeah, this is great. Okay. So anyways, Somatopia. And this was not with Somatopia. This was in another class. So we were doing practices so that we would be able to use that which we learn with people. And so somatic practices. And in this case, we were exploring, I forget what, but I had just come from the whole fear, my heart was going to implode kind of deal. And we were looking at dreams. And I remember that there was one dream, because my astral travel and all that mystic stuff, there's no point in bringing that one in. It would have lasted forever for me to tell one of those. So I decide to give I called it the most human dream in my brain, not to them. The most human brain I've ever had. Human dream I've ever had. So I talked to them about the one where I was paralyzed, and there's a name for it. So I was trying to get up out of the bed, and my body wasn't doing it. It was really scary. I can say that I didn't like that. I can't compare panic attacks or being stuck in bed and then waking up. Neither. How about that? That really would be the best way. So anyways, as we go through the steps of when you're looking at a dream, when you're exploring what's coming up with someone so that we could learn how to do it ourselves, I get to talk about fear, and that Dr. Albert mentions, were you mad at your body? And as soon as he says that, I'm like, no. My body was like, I'm not mad at me and my mind. So that's when you know you have your back. Okay, so that's a safe haven, secure base. You're your own securely attached figure. Those are the people who are regulated leaders, purpose-driven leaders, the ones who are love-based, because it's not a competition. You have your back. And you don't actually point a finger at people and blame them or feel like you are a victim of them or that someone is imposing on you. That's because you are not needing to be reparented. And this is why Safe Haven Secure Base is a very specific way that you'll feel, and you will have your back, and that's where curiosity is in the lead. While those who still are looking to move into curiosity might choose to stay with that which is this, because our brain is an anticipation machine and the mind is pattern recognition. But if you don't recognize your own percent patterns and your own temperament, and you don't regulate your intensity and sensitivity, so you don't have emotional mastery, well, you won't have mental mastery. And those who are epistemically lazy, they don't know that they lack not only that which is the capacity to discern that their thoughts come with feelings first, and that they can calm down, not take it personally, and remember that beliefs are subjective, and so is reality. As for objective, there's a handful of objective truths, but when it comes to looking at how humans are, our history, our geography, there's plenty of academics out there. That's what knowledge is. So as we enlighten, it's because of knowledge that gets built over time. As we carry on with our stories, all of our ancestors will come with us. Nothing gets dismantled or destroyed. The ones who are under their own spell of distortion are the same ones who don't know how to do we all have different subjective stories, realities, coming up with our own Hansel and Gretel conclusions. Here's why grounded in reality people, thank you Sam Harris, cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. You don't take it personally because there's nothing personal about exchanging that which are, to Neil deGrasse, I think he calls it political beliefs, personal beliefs, and then he talks about objective truths or realities. So we're talking about fear, and I'm like, no, I'm not angry at my body. My body didn't do anything. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand why it's not listening to me. And then as we're walking through this, he's like, okay, well, let's say it's okay to be afraid. And I'll never forget, as he's talking about saying it's okay to be afraid, and I get to repeat that. So one of my courses with Bethany Brand and Ruth Lanius, they inform me of what self-loathing, gut-wrench, torn apart is. It's right down here in the midline. And that there's like a bunch of trauma charges inside, and they described it. As they described it, I knew what they were talking about because I have a relationship. This is called intraception or whatever. So as I'm saying the words, it's okay to be afraid, I want to cry in front of a bunch of people, which I'm like, this is serving people who are going to come do the practice. So I don't want to do that, not because I'm ashamed, but because I wanted people to take what it is to be able and do that interaction as people who are professionals who would come for the courses again in the future. But I could feel a little pokety poke, just the way Bethany Brand and Ruth Lanius described. And I was like, oh, wow, that's okay. So I was processing something that was most likely a deep traumatic charge with fear or something like that. And I actually even know why, but I'm not going to share that one with you. The point is, throughout this entire interaction, I was able to be aware, I was able to be grounded, I was able to be comfortable, and then I kept moving forward. So this is what it means to ventral pivot, because you're using your social engagement system, because your body is safe, because you are safe, and that's because your left and your right get along, and because you don't look outside yourself for help from others. That's not because you don't welcome help. You do. If you're a healthy self-worth person, you welcome help, you ask for questions, you have no reactivity. You don't defend your position unless you're still a 3-year-old. No, it's a 16-year-old with a poor 3-year-old who's never going to see the light of day. Let me out, let me out. Remember that for my regulars? Yeah, that's what I know is happening to a bunch of people who, to distance myself, I just think of Ursula in her cauldron, the cartoon, The Little Mermaid. Poor unfortunate souls, so sad, but true, and God's coming in to remind me not to make too much fun of our brothers and sisters who are actually not moving out of the cauldron. So they turn into seaweed. Basically, it's distress, which is why I distance myself and make humor. That's why Buddha started making fun of me. High five, Buddha. Jesus was staring at me, and then God finally had to chime in to make it clear what he was trying to say, which is, okay, you've had enough fun with that. Now let's move to the next step. Come on, 5D Collective. We're moving to the 7th dimension, especially my listeners. The Order of Melchizedek, you were called. I called to you a long time ago. So let's see if I can find the card. As this lovely new moon, welcome aboard to all of those who are new and to all of those who will return. Check out PayHip for there are mindset practices, and soon to be also a new one. Orion, who knows about Orion? I love Orion. I have him on my arm, but there's more to the story. Hold on. I don't want to put them out of order. I might need them for tomorrow. Heart. Source of heart. Do you like this one is gateway of light activation. So one fun thing about being a mystic is that you bring it all in, and another fun thing about coming from the future is knowing how the future will be bright. Clearing karma. As I've mentioned before, karma is not a bad thing, and actually Sadhguru talks about how your karma dissolves throughout your lifetime. I compare karma to those child charge parts and anything that is wanting to heal, because your body knows its restorative embodiment. Your body knows your perfection, God's perfection. And the scientists know of your perfection, which is why the day I found out all about how sciences can help everyone, I said, hey God, so we're not needed, but can we stay? And here I am. So angels, welcome aboard. We're all angels. In fact, there's no fallen ones. Those poor fallen ones could get help, but again, if they don't want it, that's the free will that Robert Sapolsky says we don't have with his book, which I haven't read yet. There's plenty of people with their third eye blocked. If only they would have went to therapy a long time ago. Actually, there's a number of people, it's not even a handful, that I share with them the bountiful of information. Some say, I found it hard to believe, the felicity is life. So what do? You don't do anything, because otherwise then you know it all. Stop telling us what to do. You're right, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. Karmic release. And so when Earth moved out of 4D, I remember it was, and then it was up, no more. And there are those, though, who won't move out. So while they were enlightening us in the past, now they are no longer enlightening us. Now they're hanging out with the groupies like the flat earthers. And while when you do Akashic record readings, things come up for you to be able to dissolve, some people won't dissolve that with Lemurian codes or without. And here's our emeralds activation. I'm just looking for that one card, so if you want, bear with me. Here, this was actually one of my first dreams, me with a bunch of other souls, my soul family surrounding Earth. And when I leave Earth, we plan our leaving. It was very calm because we all collaborate with aliens and whatnot. Higher heart dropping shields. It's not here, but Sirius star blessings. I am presence. This is what you get to be as a person who's living in your restorative embodiment. And so again, it's your human makeup. Nothing special about my embodied brain. There's all embodied brains can do it. Holy Grail, your heart. Now, the glials, that's something that Dr. Daniel Siegel has talked about, so I understand that. So some people can have a bigger window of tolerance, but still, if you know your window of tolerance, you work with it. You don't have to do things you don't want to. You just work with that which is yourself, and if you need a good therapist, that's why they're out there. Once you're done with that, you're going to earn Merkaba. You're going to earn your own star, and there's our star babies. So transcendence, ascension, you are rising up. Oh, and it's not a competition, but it is a choice. And I'm going to tell you about my facade friend in a minute. Order of Melchizedek. Here you are. It's not doing justice. It's unfortunate, but maybe tomorrow we'll have another episode. Soul Star. So 5D collective, moving into 7D. Are you having a good time? Oh, those who are hearing, you might want to go to YouTube to check out the pretty cards. This one's really nice. Star Gathering. So I remember my facade friend, his choice points. We'll get through a couple of them. So he's a perfect example of someone who doesn't believe in any of the attachment trauma education, who doesn't think they need anything, and who has an Achilles heel. And like so many others who have the same Achilles heel, he has a teenage attitude and he's a bit of an asshole. So he's selfish, but we all can be considered selfish. That's the whole point of why we all can, with our relational integrity, say, I respect your subjective opinion and continue talking. And we can continue self-regulating and therefore co-regulating with anyone. Doesn't matter what they believe in or not. And so we can tease, and luckily grown-ups tease, and that's all. So 3D, 4D, 5D, we all get along. That's not, the 3D, 4D, they just don't like us. They might talk behind our back. They might think we're bullshit a lot more. So my facade friend, though, he had one choice point. That was when I was beginning to have things go down with Twin Flame 1, then a second choice point, and I had like Twin Flame 2 and 3 at a certain point, and then my third choice point, my facade friend. And as we were talking about this choice point, He actually left me saying he was going to go do the right thing, and he didn't. He chose the easy path. And he chose it because that is the part. You're going to choose what you want more out of life. And some people prefer a false sense of safety, which isn't about what words I speak to you. It's actually about not having nervous system sovereignty and wholeness. You see, so I'm not here to say you need to believe in anything of what I spoke of. No, you either will be ventral pivoting, and that's why you can resonate or understand what I'm talking about, or you're not able to yet, but you understand what I'm saying, even if you don't understand it. And do you know why I know that you will hear it? Because we're all, it's not about, I know Simon Sinek says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. That's called identity, right? So we know about those who go around in identity. I'm not talking to people who want to wear a mask. The 5D collective want to be themselves. I'm talking to people who want to be authentically themselves, from here to here to here, and so you know all about the emotions. And that's what calls to those who come back, because at the end of the day, we all will hear the truth based on, if you can discern, you know how to use all of pieces of information and have fun with it. If you're not going to be calm when people are talking, then that means that there's things that you believe in, that you cherish, and that you're not choosing to stay grounded in reality, which means reparenting might be ideal, because the only reason someone begins talking over another, excuse me, you're confusing science and spirituality. Random human being interrupts me while I'm speaking to a friend of mine about personal growth and spiritual growth, Maria's way. I say, no, I bring the human elements, the spiritual elements, and the spirituality elements on my podcast. I do mentorship, I do content, I do Reiki, I do Akashic, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm a mystic too. Oh, really? Yeah, okay. So let me try again, because my men friends say I speak wrong, and other people say I do this. So blah, 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 blah. No. Look, and he shows me his tattoos. He's got quantum physics on one arm and Buddha on the other arm. And I'm like, okay, three's a charm. I'm curious. And that's because I've practiced being curious, because why would I waste God's gift? And also because I'm stupid too. This is the humility of a person who says, I can be annoying, you can be annoying. I can believe things that you don't believe in, When you are mature, your sovereign blueprint. The regulated leader, you know how to lead, you and others. You're not going to need to dominate a scene. You're going to know how to co-regulate and be the person who chooses the right silence, as the Buddhist psychologists talk about, because why would you waste time with those who get activated? Because they're already not listening to you. And so when a 3-year-old wants to share, it's because a 16-year-old is trying to prove themselves, and like my facade friend, they don't notice themselves, and their insecurity gets worse as they age, because the window tolerance weakens, because they're supporting their maladaptive patterns of behavior, and then they're supporting also their stories, and then they're getting in their egos, so they go rigid and or chaotic, which is why they don't grow, and they stagnate. And so my facade friend, his essence, Dr. Daniel Siegel's acronym, Essential Spark, Social Engagement, Novelty, Creative Expression. When you maintain integration of the brain, or you regain it, because you can, and you have a whole self, you don't change, you expand, because your brain is a conduit, as he explained in one of my courses with him, and as I embody all the time. And the flow state, you can access it. It's actually selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and richness. You can't access it only with this. It's all of you, and it's an embodied brain. And so when people are colleagues, instead of going against each other, if they're brilliant, they come together. If they're competing in a way that is pretty much passé, old news, those of us who know better are like, okay, you know what, it's both, give it a rest. Some of us are smart enough, luckily we've gained enough knowledge, and thanks to internet, we're all coming together. The ones who are epistemically curious, disciplined, diligent, and enlightened enough to know that we all will consistently have moments that, yes, and master, we cry, but we can maintain the frequency of love, because it's called ventral pivot. You should try it sometimes. Oh, it's also called a nice hug. And it's also called don't be a martyr, blamer, superior, or victim, please. Those are people who are codependent, and yes, that's for a whole other story, but they think it's hard work to keep a relationship. And you say, not really, but I got it. And there you go. Have a lovely new moon, and check out PayHip, check out Substack. If you have questions of words, Substack is the place to go. Also, subscribe to, if you want, the podcasts on Spotify. Then there's TikTok, and check out PayHip. I said that already. And thanks again. Have a wonderful day.